Welcome to Boston Real Estate Times. Our guest today is R.W. Holmes, Vice President Mike Ogasapian. We are going to talk to him about from office to whatsoever conversion. There is a lot of demand for lab space, manufacturing space, and demand for office space is dwindling down. So let us see what Mike has to say about from office to whatever conversion. Mike, welcome to our studio.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And we have chatted before on Zoom during the pandemic time.
Yeah.
This is the second time we are meeting face to face. So again, welcome again.
Right, very nice to be in person.
Sure. So now, question to you is: everybody's talking about what is happening with office buildings, and the forecast doesn't look very good.
Mm-hmm.
So some are speculating about converting some of the office buildings to different uses. And it was for the first time I heard from you saying that from office to whatsoever.
Right.
So explain to me what you mean by whatsoever, and what is your take on the conversion and the demand in the greater Boston market?
Mm-hmm. Right, thank you. And so basically that was, we were having a casual meeting in our office and talking about things. And yeah, it seems like there's obviously a lot of unease in the office market right now. And, between lenders, owners, users, nobody really knows where the bottom is.
Mm-hmm. And although some speculation is that 1.3 billion square feet of office space will be obsolete by 2030.
Right. And that's been a growing trend even before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
That turn back the clock to say 2019, 2018. And the mantra, at least for suburban office owners, was that you need to convert or upgrade your building as far as the common areas, the amenities, things like that, to really make it a first-class tenant experience. And many of the buildings, particularly along Route 95, 128, if you will, had benefited from that and saw a lot of activity on the leasing side. 495 saw a little bit of a boon, but not quite as much as the activity we saw on 128, where buildings were filling up with tech companies.
Yeah, sure.
Now turn the clock up to where we are today, and tech companies are not growing at the rapid clip they were before. They are shedding space writ large, and they are going to smaller footprints. They are using the work from home model. They are using hybrid work. They are no longer need the amount of space that they needed before. And so the result has been, well, if you convert your building and you've got a great tenant roster today, you're safe, at least for the foreseeable future, with your current income.
So my question to you is, convert to what?
Right.
So what are the options which landlords have, and what are the tenants want? What is the demand for the market?
Right. So now the demand has shifted from pure office to now where you've got users that need assembly space, users that need warehouse storage space. You've got users that need lab space. And with the plethora of office space that you have that's been built in the greater Boston area since the .com era and before, you've got all the space that's just unused that now needs to be converted into something else. Mm-hmm. We've heard talk of, well, can we go multifamily? Can we do a residential redevelopment? Many of those office buildings, almost all of them, don't really lend themselves to being able to do that unless you scrape them completely, which is expensive. And not only do the developers not want to do that, but also the municipalities don't want to see the office space go away because commercial tax is built differently.
Sure.
So there's not really a desire to convert to that. So now you've got this need, you've got this situation where you cannot convert into anything else. You need to have it be commercial space for businesses. And so now we're seeing conversions into those other tranches.
And so let's start with, say, office to light manufacturing.
Right.
And office to dry labs or small labs and warehouse. So where do you see most demand?
Right now, I would say the biggest demand is in industrial warehouse space, storage. And that's pretty simple. assuming that a user does not need significant clear height.
Mhm.
We have seen some buildings just get scraped entirely for warehouse use. For example, Clark Properties at Nagog Park took down one of the old office buildings that was there and built up a brand new 120,000 square foot high bay warehouse space. Northbridge Partners building at 151 Taylor Street in Littleton, basically taking down a former two-story office building and building a 120,000 square foot building that is now fully leased to Amazon. And you've got a few more that are in the pipeline that are being discussed right now. That's the largest demand that we see out there in the market. Right behind that, I would say, is manufacturing space.
Mhm.
And that can vary between very robust manufacturing that involves full HVAC, involves clear height that goes up beyond 20 feet, requires significant power beyond 4,000 amps. That is a very robust manufacturing requirement.
Mhm.
But the manufacturing requirements that are going into office buildings are not as robust. The same with warehousing and storage. They don't need to have the clear height. They don't necessarily need 2,000 amps of power. They just need fully temperature controlled space. They need access to a dock. They need flooring that either a pallet can come in and out on, or that they can put benching in for, folks to be putting things together, things of that nature. So that right now is a high demand.
What about lab space?
So going to lab, we've seen some landlords go out and basically take their office buildings and say, you know what, we're going to convert the whole thing to life science and do so in a speculative nature. And that ranges from the sort of class A lab, if you will, that is, floor plates that are beyond 25,000 square feet, with the expectation of a brand new lab build out once a tenant comes along. That's going to cost probably anywhere between 120 to all the way to $200 a square foot to build just the interior space. The spec work that's involved with that is also very robust because it requires pH neutralization, requires perhaps power upgrade, perhaps requires shafts and conduits be built for hoods and venting to go through the roof. So now you've got a really involved project that's very expensive that needs to achieve top market rents.
So that was going to be my next question, that how this financial dynamics plays as far as the investors or landlords are concerned into this, whether keep the office building empty for some time, wait till market comes back, or if ever it comes back, or just invest some more money, and how it reflects the rent office versus converted space rent.
Right, exactly. And that's where landlords have to make a decision as to how they're going to proceed. A lot of it's based on where your current rent roll situation is at, and if you're still receiving timely rent from your tenants and you're in good financial shape, you really probably don't need to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're in a situation where you've got a lot of vacancy and you need to do something in the near term, right now the trend is for lab users that do not need large scale space and developments that maybe only need somewhere between 3,000 to 15,000 square feet. So we've seen some landlords go out and speculatively try to basically convert their space into suites that are like that are set up that are anywhere between 40 to 65% of lab space, some office to support that. And here you go, you take it as is and you pay me a rental rate that reimburses me for my work that I put into this, any of the fit out. And here you go, you sign a 5-year lease and we're good. For office owners that don't want to go that route, they don't have to go that route. We've seen a trend in demand for smaller office spaces that are also fit out with furniture ready to go, that are, call it between 3,000 to maybe 6,000 square feet. And we've seen landlords go that route and also have some success in the office market where demand is not so high. The long-term leases we're not seeing, at a rapid clip. It's maybe 3.
So now let's talk a bit about the size. What size of a space or range of sizes is in demand for the lab or for the light manufacturing or warehouse?
Right. So it can vary.
Lab, let's start with
Lab. If we start with lab, it's on a smaller scale, so it's probably closer from anywhere, call it 3, all the way to maybe 10,000, 15,000 on the high end.
Mm-hmm.
But typically the users are around 5,000 to 6,000 square feet that need that.
And this is the post-pandemic period we're talking about.
Correct. Yes.
Before the size was much larger because of so much venture capital funding. And
there was more demand for that. There was always a demand for smaller, call it quote unquote graduation space, where you may have a group that's coming out of an incubator or something to the like that, hey, we don't have our funding yet from our investors, but we're getting there, and we need something that's between the shared space that we have, but not also the fully built out, amenitized 10-year deal for a brand new lab.
So how is the demand, if you go by the geographically in the greater Boston, which market you see more such demands, and
sure,
markets and sub-markets?
Sure. So for warehousing space across the board, 128 north, south, central, you are seeing it just about everywhere. It is coming fast and furious and hard to find. For light manufacturing, I would say we're seeing a little bit more on the north side. Mm-hmm. So call it up Route 3, Bedford, Billerica, Chelmsford, the Merrimack Valley, North Andover, Wilmington. Woburn has been always a very hot area for small light manufacturers. And then on the lab R&D side, I would say that the 128 Central Market has become the hotbed. It has been for some time. That's starting to shift north, and that's starting to shift a little bit west as well, where we're seeing users that are now turning to areas that have a little bit more vacancy and some more opportunities for them.
Now, Mike, before I let you go, we didn't touch on multifamily conversion. Mm-hmm. So I know there has been a lot of talk in downtown Boston and other central districts around the country. Mm-hmm. But how the conversion from office to multifamily in suburbs look like in the greater Boston area?
Yeah, so we're going to see a lot of conversion now through housing choice that Charlie Baker signed into law right before he left office. That is going to require municipalities anywhere between, I believe it's a half mile of a train station or some sort of transit hub, where they're going to have to rezone to allow for dense multifamily. So that is based on housing demand that's in the area. That is going to force a lot of change in these different areas. It's going to force a lot of possibly conversion, but most likely just simply the scraping of other buildings that are obsolete or have a lower value. It's also going to incentivize the owners of those buildings now to sell or to do something, because now their building's worth way more than it ever was before. It's what it is today. So I think that's going to be what we see by and large. As far as conversion of office buildings into multifamily, it is challenging based on the floor plates. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's something that you're going to see where buildings are converted. You may see them go away entirely, which the office market was very overbuilt. Mm-hmm. It may not be the worst thing for the office market to see some things get taken out. But
excellent. Now your last word on conversion.
Last word on conversion is continued, necessary. If it's one word, I guess I'm over my limit, but needed, necessary, continued, and great for the market.
Excellent. Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter.
Excellent. Good. Nice to see you.
You too.